Welcome, loves, to another episode of my podcast that's fun with me. Today, we're going to be talking about Kardashians, Jenners, the entire family, and why do we love them and why do we hate them? I see a lot of different videos from influencers and even other celebrities not being huge fans of Kardashians because of the body image, because of their influence, and because of their, ruining Marilyn Monroe's dress. A lot of things were not good. If we're talking about Kardashians and their comments, especially Kendall Jenner addressing the issue that she can choose from different brands and where she wants to model and she doesn't want to model. And a lot of models, they felt offended by this comment because they had to work their ass off to get to the place where they are. And Kendall Jenner, she just asked her biggest sister, Kim Kardashian, to get her on the runway. And that is the main reason why you can see the inconsistency sometimes in their actions. You can see that they're pretty influential, but it doesn't actually get to the point where they are role models or they're famous for their talents. They're famous for being famous. We're going to get started with Kris Jenner. She had, I guess, over 5 husbands. And the main point, I guess, for some of you guys, if you know me, you know that I love astrology in some shape or form. And I was like digging some information. I was like, okay, Kris Jenner, she's really manipulative and she's pretty tough, and sometimes she's just like a mom manager, she calls herself. And I was like, who is she? I have my thoughts that she might be a Scorpio, and ding ding ding, I was completely right. She's a Scorpio. She was born on the 5th of November. And it might not be related to some of you guys, but if you have any ideas, then one of the most manipulative signs in astrology is Scorpio. Not always, but sometimes. Of course, there are different types of people there. Okay, how did Kim Kardashian become one of the most influential people in the world with a net worth of $1.4 billion? I'd say Kim Kardashian, she always wanted to be famous from the early age, and I guess her mom, she was always cruel to her, and when she always wanted Kim to be the perfection and the best of her and bring money, she could easily organize meetings with older people, with men, and probably sell some Kim's sexuality to those guys, as well as a famous sex tape that was leaked in 2003, if I'm mistaken. About the same time, Kim worked as a personal assistant and a stylist of Paris Hilton, which was huge back in the day. She was the it girl. And that is the main reason why her mom, she deliberately put Kim in some social circle where a lot of celebrities were. And Kim found right connections. She was talking to some right people, let's say. That's why she brought the attention of these people. And at first, people thought this infamous, let's say, sex tape was leaked, but later the rapper that was in this tape, he mentioned that Kris Jenner actually organized this whole thing, and they had at least like 3 or 4 tapes, and then she picked the best one that's gonna sell and that's gonna bring the success and fame to Kim Kardashian. This was a strategic and tactical, I guess, decision because Kris Jenner knew that she wanted to open and start the Keeping Up with the Kardashian TV show. I guess Kris Jenner got her inspiration from Sex and the City. I'm imagining this situation and fantasizing right now, but I guess it probably might have been the Sex and the City because she realized people were always hungry for sex and drama, something that we can see a lot over Sex and the City series, and she knew that sex sells. That is the main reason why, I guess, in my humble opinion, she started this new series of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. She had 5 daughters. 3 of them were more or less adults, and 2 of them were minors. And she was mainly focused in this show around Kim when Kim was dating someone, and when Kim actually had her chance to meet Kanye West, that later had become her husband. And by the way, before Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim had 3 marriages, I guess, that lasted not so long, or at least she was in a relationship with some guys, a pretty serious relationship, but always ended up in a really weird, way. That is the main reason why I would say sex tape was calculated to be leaked in a particular time, in a particular way that hit up this, I guess, curiosity of people about Kardashians. Because Kardashians, as I mentioned earlier, they're famous for being famous. They have no talents. They're great sellers. They can sell you anything. They can sell you the image of this famous life. Look at this from the perspective of TikTokers. You know that a lot of TikTokers right now, they're gaining millions of views, and I'm saying like hundreds of views, millions of views. They are famous for being rich and for just having this meaningless tours around their house, that they go outside, they do their manicure, they go and do Pilates workout, they have mansions, they have beautiful and super rich cars. That is the main reason why people, they don't feel they're related to this content, but they are super curious what's there behind the doors. How do people live with money? What is so interesting about their lives? How do they raise their kids? And it's gaining a lot of views. I guess maybe these TikTokers, they probably took this model from Kardashians, because Kardashians, they were showing this behind the scenes, I guess, model where they had mentions when they were more or less popular and they had more or less money, and they had this drama, they had sex, they had this curious factor that people fell for it. They fell for this drama, and especially between girls, between sisters. Kim, she always was abused and exploited by her own mom. As Kris Jenner, she always mentioned that Kim is bringing more money than the others, and that's why she's the favorite one. And of course, a lot of psychologists, a lot of people, they would say that's not normal. Kris Jenner is a narcissist that doesn't love her kids. She's exploiting her kids. And Kim always wanted to get this attention from her mom and approval that she's the best, she's the one. And Kim, she knew and she knows, I guess. She was always bringing bread to their family, and she had to bring a lot to the table to get to be famous and to become famous. That is the main reason why a lot of their conversations, keeping up with the Kardashians, a lot of their fights, they're about Kim showing her sisters that I made you famous. I made you popular. You owe me everything. You have to work as much as I do. And Kim is basically the one who's been called slut for such a long period of time. The sisters, they probably hate this model for Kim being that successful, and they make fun of her because she had the sex tape. But at the same time, they wanted to be like Kim. They wanted to get this love from their mom, and to get that attention and to get this love from their Kris Jenner, because sometimes they don't even call her mom. They call her like momger, or they call her the like Kris Jenner. That is the main reason, I guess, why we can tell the family is functioning in a super weird way, where you're praised for being successful and you're hated for not being successful. You can tell that Kim took it super harsh when Kylie Jenner, she released her makeup cosmetics line, and she gained a lot of people popularity, and immediately she had become one of the favorite daughters of Kris Jenner. And then of course Kim was jealous of the situation because she sacrificed a lot in her life and a lot of her, I guess, childhood drama to become this favorite child. And now for no reason, Kylie had become this favorite child. But then I guess, again, it all reversed when Kylie sold her company and Kim had become, again, one of the favorite kids among the family. I can't say I hate Kardashians. Kylie, she's one of the calmest ones, and I really like her desire to be a mom and to have a kid and give everything she can to her kid, and you can tell that she really loves her kids. But if we're going to be talking about Kim Kardashian, I feel like she is probably broken in some ways, but at the same time, she's a workaholic, and I admire her for that. Especially when I was watching Nikki tutorials back in the day, she talked about a lot of celebrities, and she said Kim Kardashian always was super kind to her, and she always, if she saw Nikki, she would say hi and have a small talk, because a lot of celebrities that worked with Nikki tutorials, they were ignoring her completely when they saw her somewhere at events. That is the main reason why I guess I would say that it's pretty respectful to see that Kim, who was an assistant back in the day, and she's pretty successful right now, and she's still one of the most talkative personas, I guess, in the world. She doesn't lose her face, and she's talking to people that are makeup artists and assistants, and she's super kind to them. That I can give to her. So yeah, you can tell why people hate her, because she was selling not only Kim Kardashian but the entire family. First and foremost, for 14 years they've been on the screens, and sometimes you're just getting tired of this family and entire drama. I mean, like when it's over and over again, you see that like it's enough, you're fed up, and it's pretty much similar pattern over and over again. And they were selling you this body image that is probably not the best way to influence on some minors and kids that have no opinion. That is the main reason why a lot of our generation, or maybe kids, they're not even kids, but like right now it's 25, 30, maybe 20, 30 year olds that have the same standard of beauty as Kardashians, because they see a lot of fillers, a lot of injections and plastic surgeries, and you can tell people that try to copy this family, you can definitely see them because they have same lips, they have same jaws, they have same eyes, so on and so forth. They were criticized heavily for that, but at the same time, you have to understand that though they're super influential family, they're not making you to do the same things. I mean, they're going to be another family, pretty famous, maybe in 10 years, and there are still going to be people that want to look like them. They're going to have the same hair color, they're going to have the same body image and whatever. There's always going to be someone who's going to copy and try to become the one they adore the most. That's why I don't really think it's really the fault of the Kardashians, because even if they weren't, I guess, this pop idols, or if they weren't doing any fillers, there's still going to be something that people would love to change about themselves to become one of their idols. You can't actually tell me that they're stupid because they have the entire empire, and maybe if they try to act sometimes stupid, they're not stupid at all. And I would say, especially Kim and Kris Jenners, the royalty of this family, you can tell that they're pretty smart. In a way, I guess, they inserted themselves in every single aspect of life, in every single, I guess, field and area of life. I mean, you can tell that they have a huge following over social media and every platform. You can tell that they have their alcohol brands, they're in makeup, they have their clothing lines, they have Vogue covers, they have a lot of connections among Hollywood, and not only Hollywood, but other celebrities. They're over billboards. They have their own food. They have their vitamins. They have everything in their life, and they have inserted themselves in every aspect of your life. So if you haven't watched their series and their TV show, reality show, which I haven't, you still know who the Kardashians are. And that's crazy, because a lot of celebrities, you can hate Kardashians or Jenners, you can literally hate them, but you know them. And that's what makes the difference. I would say people were fascinated why this reality show had become so popular, because it had no filters. Not only drama, but you could tell that right now I can see rich people having the same fights as I do. They have the same, I guess, problems as I do, but at the same time, they're different. And I want to know what's behind the closed doors. That was raw. And this raw honesty was crazy to people, especially in early 2000s, maybe 2008 or 2007. I don't remember when it happened. And you could see how they were growing, how they were raising their kids, what was happening in their lives, and people were fascinated. That's definitely the way of influencers, always shitting Kardashians, but always keeping up with the Kardashians. But why do we love Kardashians? It's not always about drama, and it's not always interesting. You still want to be like them. And even when Kim Kardashian ruined the famous dress of Marilyn Monroe, she still was on top of it, and people still love her. So why do we actually love Kardashians and Jenners? Because they're selling this image that, from my personal point of view, sometimes people try to shit them for that, but in a way, they admire Kardashians because they were no one. They were literally no one. They had no talent whatsoever. And they're selling you this dream that you can become one of the most influential people in the world if you work hard. And if you suppress your emotions, if you honestly have a narcissistic mom who is manipulating the way out, and being an assistant that was literally just serving Paris Hilton and sleeping with other, rappers and celebrities. Later, they made their way out of the scandals, sex scandals, and they turned this into business, and then they turned this into success, influence, and they have become one of the most influential people in the world. I guess that is the main reason why people love them and people try to be like them. Because when you see this kind of fairy tale and fantasy of Kim Kardashian becoming with a net worth of $1.4 billion, you're like, maybe she's been doing something right. And when you try to criticize her for investing their money in a shady business and being fishy about certain factors and about certain, I guess, investments, you still understand that they're pretty successful. Even when their businesses are crashing down, you still can see them at a Met Gala. You can see them talking to Anna Wintour. You can see them over billboards. And what I guess has made this family so influential is that they can relate to every age or range. For example, when Kim was starting her career, she was talking to Paris Hilton. She was her assistant, and she was hanging with a lot of celebrities that were it girls back in the day. Then she had sisters that were a little bit younger, and they related to a little bit different audience, as well as Jenners, and we're talking about Kylie and Kendall Jenners. They basically were related to my age, I guess, range and my age gap. For example, Kylie Jenner, she's 28, if I'm mistaken. She's 28 or something. And she's probably my age. That's why she was that popular with makeup and cosmetics. As well as Kendall, she was modeling, and she is still modeling, and she's still related to my age range. And when Kim, she's more influential in the way of probably someone who's 40 plus. That is the main reason why they have this broad audience, as well as Kris Jenner. She's over, I guess, 65 or maybe even 70. I'm sorry, I don't remember her age, but she's influential in her age gap. And a lot of people say that Kris Jenner is famous for creating this gorgeous family and creating this successful family that attracts attention over and over and over again. What I still love about Kardashian, especially Kim Kardashian, talked about that real quick, that she always tries to relate. Sometimes, as maybe with a TikTok and this influence, like Hailey Bieber, whenever she's watching some videos and she loves someone, she's not trying to get some fake accounts. Maybe she does, I don't know. She answers some comments, or she might comment under this video and tell that she agrees or disagrees with the comment and this TikToker. And same happens with Kim Kardashian, because she's relatable and she can answer some of your questions and she can comment on your video as well, which is not really common, wasn't probably common for celebrities back in the day, because they thought that they have to keep their distance from their fans and they should not be relatable. Though if we're seeing a little bit different transformation with Selena Gomez again, and maybe Hailey Bieber and Kardashians, they're more relatable because they're communicating with their fans a little bit more. And of course, social media, internet, Instagram, TikTok helps a lot. That is the main reason why I guess people might hate them, they might love them, but they do know about them. And every single time they come up with some new idea and some business, I guess, you're gonna buy. You're still gonna buy because you know that they're selling you this dream that you can become popular as well, for being not talented, for not being someone, for being a makeup artist, because it has become a thing, I guess, probably because of Kim Kardashian, in the way she was an influencer back in the day. And for example, you know, a lot of makeup artists like Painted by Spencer, but let's talk about someone a little bit more popular. Patrick Ta. Patrick Ta, he has his own brand and he's actually present in a lot of celebrities' lives. That is the main reason why you can see him. And now he's considered to be not only a makeup artist, but a celebrity in a way. That is the main reason why you can get an idea what they've created. It has become a role model for a lot of people in the industry, which I see as a bonus. And if they have this path and if they know how to become the successful, maybe they can share it and maybe you can apply this to you. The only thing that I hate the most is that Kris Jenner, she was exploiting her kids for a lot of years, for such a long period of time, and she was, you know, manipulating them, especially Kim. And if Kim wasn't following her instructions or wasn't perfect in a way, as narcissists like you to be, she was beating Kim, she was manipulating Kim. And in a sense, Kim, she chose similar partners in life, as well as Kanye West. Well, I guess Kanye West, he was so much more famous than Kim back in the day. And of course, Kris Jenner, she saw this opportunity because he was really, and he is pretty talented artist. And she knew that this would bring more attention because Kanye is going to appear in their show, in their reality show. That is the main reason, I guess, why she wanted to keep him in this reality show and in their lives. And I guess he was really well suited to Kim because he was, in a way, resembling her own mother. And he was more like Kris Jenner. He was not only manipulating Kim Kardashian, but he was choosing for herself when he was throwing her outfits and, you know, cleaning her closet and dressing Kim. He had made Kim the person, I guess, he always wanted to have. So yeah, Kanye West is another narcissist. And Kim felt more or less comfortable with narcissists because she had her mother as a narcissist in her life and telling her how to do, what to do, and when to do. That is the main reason why she had become that popular. So this is my take on Kardashians, why you might hate them or you might love them. I personally have nothing bad to say about them because you always have to keep in mind that it's your vision, it's your head, that you shouldn't follow someone's feelers and standards if you hate this and if you don't resonate with this. You can't blame Kardashians for, you know, everything. You should always have your own hat on your shoulders. I would say my take on that is that they're workaholics, especially Kim. They're a dysfunctional family. I don't say that I adore them and I support them, but I don't feel hatred toward Kardashians. I would say a lot of people, they were predicting their fall, but still, they're still standing. They're still standing, and I think they're gonna be standing years and years later because they have this bones and structure for being famous, just being famous for being famous. That's it, guys, for today's podcast. That's fine with me. I hope it was more or less interesting. And let me know what you think in the comments, because maybe you can disagree with me or agree, which I always read your comments, and it's always interesting to see your response. And I guess you might be a huge fan or you might hate them, but you know them. Again, I'm repeating myself. Love you all so much, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye bye.